Hey everybody, I'm in my workshop today because we are making a master sword, and I'm going to be recording the tutorial for you because a couple people asked for a master sword tutorial. So hopefully today we'll be trying to recreate this one, which is my master sword that you've probably seen if you have watched any of my videos at all. So yeah, hopefully we will be trying to recreate this. So the first thing that we will be working on is the hilt, which is pretty straightforward. It's just a piece of PVC pipe. And here is my wall of materials. So I've got different diameter PVC pipes, stuff like that, scraps I got out of the dumpster. So we're just looking for one that has relatively the same diameter as the hilt. And I think this one's a little too soft. That one's good. So we will measure the length of the hilt on the master sword and we will cut this. Alright, so measuring the hilt of the master sword. There it is. Right here. It's about 5 1/4 inches. So we will cut our PVC pipe. You can just use a vise or something, but since my dad broke the vise trying to bend a lawnmower blade back into the right shape, we're going to be using this, which conveniently has inch markings on it. So I'm going to line this up with 5 1/4 right there. Put this in here. Cut a 5 1/4 inch section. So you can either cut the master sword shape out of a piece of wood with a jigsaw, which is what I've done in the past, but today I conveniently have a marking stake, which I am just going to turn into the blade. It's not going to be that hard. This will probably be easier than cutting it out of a piece with a jigsaw. So yeah. The first thing I'm going to do is, because this kind of like comes down too harsh of an angle, I'm going to kind of round that over with maybe a plane or maybe the belt sander. But if you don't have a belt sander, you could just use sandpaper or something like that. So yeah. Okay, so I just cleaned up that. Now it's got like a nice rounded taper on it. So next step is marking how long the blade should be and cutting it. Now when we cut the blade for the master sword, we're also going to be including the tang, which is the piece of the blade that goes all the way down the hilt. You can either do a half tang, which only comes to about the middle of the grip, or you could do a full tang, which is what I recommend, because it'll give you the maximum amount of strength for your sword. So yes, actually I don't think I need to do any cutting because this will come almost to the bottom, and I want to keep all of that strength. But what I am going to do is I am going to cut out, well, you see how this this blade part bulges out? That's like the signature look of the Master Sword from Skyward Sword and Twilight Princess. If you want to go with the Ocarina of Time version of the Master Sword, just keep this flare out, but keep the blade the same length after that. Just keep it the same, width after that. So right now I'm going to cut out 2 wings from this, and I'm going to glue them onto this. And I'm also going to make the bottom of it a little thinner so that it will fit into the middle of the PVC pipe. So where the blade stops being this thick is right about here on the Master Sword, and I'm going to keep that because I'm going to do this trick where I can keep these on here without cutting the blade. I did cut the blade on my last one, but I'm going to see if I can do it this time. And what I'm going to do to get a straight line is I'm going to use a square. If you don't have a square, I'd recommend getting one because it can give you perfectly straight lines. perpendicular to what you're cutting. So, like that. I don't know if you can see that. I'll zoom in a bit. Yep, right there. Now here I measured the inside width of the PVC pipe, and I marked a distance between these two ones is what I'm going to keep. So all you have to do is take a ruler or some sort of straight edge and continue these lines. Like that, and like this. Continue those lines down to the bottom of the piece. Then you can cut off this excess right there, and that is going to be your tang that will fit into the inner part of your PVC pipe. Okay, sorry if the video is a little shaky from now on because I switched from my tripod mounted camera to my phone because my camera is out of battery. So when that gets fully charged, I'll switch back to it. Okay, so I cut off these sections from here, made the tang, and from those pieces I made these little pieces that will go on right there and there to thicken up the sides, so you can carve them down and make the wings. And then I guess after I glue these on with some wood glue, I will maybe do the sanding down to make the edges more blade-like, or I will start the hilt part, which is mainly what the entire Master Sword is about, because that's what distinguishes the Master Sword from other swords. So I'll see what happens after that. So I put some wood glue on that and put a clamp on that, and now it's drying. Now while that's drying, we can trace the handle of the Master Sword onto some cardboard or paper or anything that you can draw on and then cut out. So I'm just going to trace that and then show you afterward. Okay, so I traced out half of it, knowing that I can cut this out with an X-Acto knife and then fold it over, and then I can trace that out on the wood or whatever I'm going to cut the hilt out of. So I'm going to cut this out with an X-Acto knife. Okay, so I cut out the piece of cardboard with an X-Acto knife, traced it, flip it, and once you align it with the center line and trace it again, you'll have a full Master Sword hilt guard. So once you've got that traced out, you're going to need to use a jigsaw or some other kind of saw. Probably, I would recommend a jigsaw to cut that out, and make sure you wear safety glasses while you're wearing it. While you're cutting it, because splinters and dust always get in my eyes, and it's really annoying. Well, dust always gets in my eyes, so it's really annoying. So after you do that, I will show you the next step. Okay, so right now I just finished cutting it out with a jigsaw. I'm kind of just refining the shape with a file. Once you're done like fixing up any imperfections left by the jigsaw, I'll show you the next step. Okay, so once all the roughness from the jigsaw is gone and perfected and stuff like that, you can either choose one of two options. Okay, one would be if you want the ripples to go out like this and to stop here, or if you want to have them come all the way across from the bottom down like that, like something like that. So you can choose that. On this one, they come all the way down to the bottom, but I don't think that's game accurate. I think I'm going to do it this way. So yes. Another thing you have to do is kind of like bevel this, kind of like bubble this part out. Pretty much bubble everything, and then yeah, I'm going to do it this way. Here I am back in the vise with a file, and I'm going to be bubbling all this stuff. And then for these grooves in here, and maybe this one right here, I'm going to be using my Dremel, which I put over there. Okay. First, I'm going to be doing the filing. Okay, it took me a lot longer than I expected it to, but bubbled out everything, carved everything, smoothed it down, sanded it, did everything I need to do. Now I can go in with my Dremel and cut out these things. So I think I'm going to switch cameras and set that up on a tripod so I can film that for you. Okay, back with my good camera, and now I'm going to redraw these lines because I sanded a couple of them off, but right now I'm going to cut in these lines with my Dremel and make the Master Sword look good. You could also use a file and use the corner of a file, but I'm going to use my Dremel. Be very careful when you're using a Dremel, especially when you're just freehanding it. Also wear safety glasses. That's just a given when using power tools. Go. I'm also going to go in there with a little bit of small file, round these out to make them more bubbly, I guess. Okie doke, so I put the file in, went like that, smooth out the edges. Now it's nice and smooth, everything's ready. Now I just have to carve out this piece. Safety glasses! There we go. Now I'm just gonna scoop that out with files, chisels, stuff like that. So I didn't use any files or something. I just carved that out with my Dremel. It's like going back and forth down the like that. So now you can take a file and like round over this edge because it's supposed to be like rounded. Pretty much everything on this hilt is supposed to be bubbled. I have no idea why, but I guess it's just their design. Even if you want to like go in here with an X-Acto knife, that would work too. In fact, I think I might just do that. There we go. Sad face. With doing that on one side, just do the exact same thing on the other. Just mirror it. So right now, these things are glued on, and they're dry. So I marked off what I'm going to do, and since I have a belt sander over there, I'm going to use this part of it to make those swoops. But you could probably use the sanding drum bit on a Dremel and do the same thing, or just use a jigsaw. And after that, I'm going to grind the edges onto the sword and smooth it out a bit because it is a bit ripply. And after that, we are going to put the handle on, right about there, and then it will start looking more like a master sword. Repeat that for the rest of them. Okay, so right now I'm going to start grinding the edge bevels. So if you are using a belt sander when you're doing this, just a tip, try and keep your hands as steady as possible, because you want the grinds to be on an even, what am I trying to say here? An even measurement up the blade, I guess. Just try and keep that the same throughout, because you don't want any like deep spots or shallow spots or something like that. Just try and keep it in the same place the whole time. It's a little hard, a little tricky, but you can get the hang of it. Okay, so I finished the hollow grinds on the edges. If this is, you don't have to do this if you don't want to, but I just think it looks a little better. If you don't have the tools or anything, it's perfectly fine to leave it like it was. It still looks like a master sword, it's just, I think this makes it look a little bit better, a little more authentic, stuff like that. The trick that I was talking about before, this tang is 1/4 of an inch thick, and it's about 1/2 an inch wide. So I've got a 1/4 inch drill bit, and I'm going to drill 2 holes through that thing, through the hilt guard, and then I'll be able to slide this through and slide it up onto the hilt. So I've done this a couple times before. Let's see if it works this time. Okie doke, so now we're going to take some wood glue and put it on the inside of this thing, the hilt guard, and maybe put a little bit here too. Right, like that. Then we just slide this on like that, and then we wait for the glue to dry. But also, this piece came off from there, so I'm going to be gluing this back on like that. If you have any excess glue, try to wipe it off before it dries. But otherwise, that's good. I got a hole right here, so I'm going to try and fill that in with wood glue. Okie doke, so I kind of got ahead of myself a little bit. So what I did was I took the PVC pipe and I took a knob of some weird thing, glued this ring to it, and then glued it onto the bottom of the PVC pipe with super glue. And I also took an old baseball, cut it in half, and drilled a hole in the center for the thing that goes right here. And so now I'm just going to assemble this. Slide the baseball onto there, like that. And then put the tube on like this. And then you've got your master sword. This is pretty tight as it is, but it's getting looser a bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some glue or some nails or something to attach it on. You can use whatever you want, but yeah, that's what I'm going to do. And after that comes painting. Okay, so now we're out at the paint station. So first I need to show you something. I cut out 2 little squares of masonite board and 2 little squares of plexiglass. So I'm going to spray paint the squares of masonite board gold, oops, and the bottoms of the plexiglass ones red, to hopefully give the effect of the other Master Sword that I have. So I'm going to do that right now, and afterwards we'll actually paint the sword. And the red ones right there. So I'm just going to let those... Okay, so now we're going to do the blade with some chrome spray paint. And just let that dry, do a couple more coats, flip it over, do the other side. Okie doke, so yeah, I was almost out of blue paint, so I was really worried that I wouldn't be able to finish the handle, but I had enough, and it didn't record me spray painting it because I had to focus and not waste any paint. So yeah, I painted the handle blue, missed a little bit. I'm gonna have to respray some silver on that, but that's alright. I've got more silver than I have blue. Yeah, so it's starting to really look like a Master Sword now. Just gotta wrap the handle in electrical tape, and oh, and I put the jewels together. I super glued the red pieces to the gold pieces. Make sure that the part that you spray painted, like on the red piece, you flip that so that's the bottom of it, so that you don't have any paint on the top, and you kind of like see through the plexiglass to the bottom of it, which is spray painted red. Gives it a cool effect. And once this blue handle is done drying, I'm going to super glue those onto here. Okay then, so this is the point in the tutorial when you decide whether or not this is a Twilight Princess Master Sword or a Skyward Sword Master Sword. For the Twilight Princess Master Sword, you wrap the handle in electrical tape. If it's a Skyward Sword Master Sword, you spray paint the rest of the handle blue and wrap it in green, like ribbon or green tape or something like that. But since I already have a Skyward Sword Master Sword, I'm going to make this one another Twilight Princess one, even though I have another Twilight Princess Master Sword. Just kind of like and for a cleaner edge, when you rip electrical tape, it discolors. So what I like to do is cut it so it's cleaner, and it also makes it stay like that. So that's it. Your finished Master Sword. Looks pretty nice. And I carved in the triforce on this part, but you don't have to. Yeah, there it is. I wish you the best of luck if you decide to make this yourself. So, yes. Okay guys, today I showed you how to make a Master Sword. So I made another one, even though I have like 7 of them. But I guess it's a good thing that I made the tutorial when I did, because I've had practice. So, this is a really good Master Sword. I've also made this one, but I've never finished it. It's pretty good. It was supposed to be an exact replica of my other one, because I actually traced the blade and cut it out on thin wood, sandwiched them together, and glued them together. But again, that one's pretty good. But the hilt on this one is really detailed, because I actually carved this this frowny face thing out, which I haven't done on any of the previous ones. Also, you can customize this one You can either make it the Twilight Princess or Skyward Sword model because of the handle wrap, the pommel, and yeah. Also, another thing is, I spray painted the blade silver because I didn't have any of that aluminum tape that I like to use, because trust me, the aluminum tape, I mean, this is pretty good, but the aluminum tape will make it look like a blade, like a really nice blade. So yeah, I would prefer, if you can do the aluminum tape, that's probably my best bet, but this also looks pretty good too. So yeah, thanks for watching. Comment, rate, subscribe. Leave prop suggestions down below in the comments. No more Master Swords. I am actually kind of getting sick of them. So yeah, thanks for watching.